Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Felixstowe Matters. Now, it's been a long time since we've had an edition of Felixstowe Matters. Unfortunately, I've had some mishaps, but hopefully now they're all over with and we're starting a new era. And we're so glad we've got Mike Amos back with us, who's helped so much over the years. And we've got Chris Smithers as manager, and we've got so many volunteers. As you know, we run the Felixstowe Radio as well. And we've got over 80 volunteers altogether. So it's really part of Felixstowe, and it's going great guns, I'm pleased to say. And I'm hoping that from the new relaunch of Felixstowe Television, which will be about Easter time, that you're going to really enjoy it. But tonight, or today, I'm sorry, I'm saying tonight, it's morning here, it's a lovely morning, we're going to have an introduction to two people whom I think you're going to enjoy and who you're going to see a lot of, I hope. Now, a lot of you know that we've had a well-known author has moved to Felixstowe, and we're very pleased to have her. Not only have we brought her in for Felixstowe Radio and television, but we've got her here today to introduce you and to let you know what she's going to do. We've got Beth, who is a new volunteer as well. Maureen is also a volunteer for Felixstowe Television, so we're delighted to have two new ones here. So welcome to you, Maureen, and welcome to you, Beth.
Hi.
It's lovely to have you both with us. Now, you've written a number of books, and we're so glad that you've brought 4 of them along with you, I think. There's The Singing Detective, which I think people have heard about, and I'm pleased to hear that, you know, you've got another one nearly completed.
I have, yes. I can't wait to finish it, actually, to see how it's going to end.
Well, that's good. But what made you come to Felixstowe?
I love Felixstowe. I became involved a few years ago when I was doing the short stories on the radio, and I just love it here. I love it. I love the beach, I love the people, I love the town.
Isn't that nice? And you've got a lovely flat along the seafront.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I've been there. I know it is really, truly lovely. Yeah. And we're so glad to have you here and have you as part of us. And you initially read some of your short stories on Felixstowe Radio with Trevor Lockwood, who started Felixstowe Radio.
Yes, I did.
And strangely enough, I was at a meeting when you met him recently, and it was nice. It was very nostalgic to see you both together. But tell me, now that you're in Felixstowe, what is your main object of being here? What are you going to do with yourself?
Well, I'm retired and I'm writing, but I would love to read my short stories on the radio, and I'd love to be involved. I've always been involved with voluntary work of one sort or another, so I do see that Felixstowe would have a lot to offer.
Yes. What sort of voluntary work have you been associated with?
Gosh, I've been a Samaritan.
Have you? Now that's really, that gives you a lot of emotional background, I should think, for your books.
Does. Yes, I think I spoke to what I considered a mass murderer.
A mass murderer?
I considered him a mass murderer as a Samaritan.
Can you tell us about it, or? Well, you're not going to tell us who it is. It's only an overall.
No.
It's an overall.
It's a long time ago.
I see.
It was when AIDS had just been found out about. It was a really, really scary time.
Yes.
And anybody who had AIDS...
This is about 20 or 30 years ago, isn't it?
Yes,
it is.
Yes. And this chap rang up.
Yes.
He was very upset. He just found out he was HIV positive.
Oh dear.
He couldn't tell anybody else because at that time everybody was petrified. They wouldn't even shake your hand if they knew you had AIDS.
Oh dear.
At that point they didn't understand how it was transferred.
Yes.
Anyway, we spent a long time chatting, and we were just rounding up the call when I said to him, well, please call us if you ever want to talk again.
Yes.
And just as he was about to put the phone down, he said, I'm going to go out, he said, and I'm going to have every man I can before the symptoms show.
Oh, how
and then
dreadful.
He put the phone down, and I was shocked because I thought, this man is going to...
The damage he could do over the period,
I
isn't
think
it?
he
Yes.
killed a lot of
Yeah.
men.
What do you think of that, Beth? That's a terrible story, isn't it?
I think the story is quite interesting, actually.
Yes.
And it has quite a heartfelt emotion involved.
Yes.
And it's quite important, I think, to understand these feelings and what's happening with the story. And I think it's important for human beings to empathise.
Yes, yes.
And I think that's really important.
So he could even have changed his mind after that call.
Yeah, he
and
could have.
being helped by Maureen's comments, I'm sure he might have gone off and not done any of those things that he said he was going to do. But what part of the world are you from, Beth?
I'm from Felixstowe. I live in Suffolk.
Yes.
I've lived here all my life.
Have you?
I've really enjoyed living here. I think the seaside has really been quite a big part of my life. I've enjoyed swimming in the sea in the summer, being with friends, having got ice cream, playing tennis around Suffolk.
That's lovely.
I've been involved in tennis tournaments with my twin sister. So it has been a special time.
And of course, your family is very much involved with Felixstowe because your father is a well-known businessman. He owns and runs
Diamond Mills and Co.
Diamond Mills and Co. Let's give him a free plug because it's one of the leading estate agents and they give a wonderful service. And I know because he actually handled the house that I bought when I first came to Felixstowe. So I've got personal experience. Absolutely. I can guarantee that anybody will get a good service from him. And not only that, but he has another forte, hasn't he? He does
auctioneers.
And that's a lovely thing, which is, it's now becoming very scarce through England, unfortunately. There's still a few auctioneers, but they're not as they used to be in every town. And how often does he hold his auctions?
He normally does it about once a month.
Yes.
And he collects his auctions and pieces during the months, and he really enjoys it. Throughout his entire life, he's always enjoyed selling antiques and different things, and he really has an eye for selling these.
And you've actually helped him as well.
Yes,
to do it.
I have.
What did you do?
I was a junior assistant, and I modelled some of the auction, different antiques.
Did you? Model them?
Model them. I was like, well, this is a Victorian plate. And
oh, I see.
Things
Oh,
like
I see.
that.
Oh, you must have got a much better price because you've done that.
Who knows? But I really did enjoy it,
Yes.
and I think it was a really important experience for me.
And your brothers are actually got
Yes.
involved with it. You've got two older brothers, have you?
Two older brothers,
Yes.
and both of them are in Diamond Mills.
Yes.
I think they're kind of like the fresh blood, the
Well,
new
this
blood
is
of the
it.
business,
And
yeah, they're really enjoying it. They both love working.
This is one of the joys of Felixstowe because so many of the businesses have been here for generations and are continuing. It's lovely. It's a lovely spot. And what part of the world do you come from?
Oh, I'm an Essex girl.
An Essex girl.
I'm an Essex
Now,
girl,
Essex
yeah.
girls have got a reputation. Tell me something about Essex girls because
I
that's.
think they're very warm and giving
Yeah.
and welcoming.
Oh, isn't that
They
a
may
nice
take
way of
that
putting
a little
it?
bit to an extreme at times, but they are very warm people.
Are they? Oh, that's nice. Well, I'd love to hear that. What's your opinion of an Essex girl?
I think on the exterior visage or face, they might wear quite a lot of makeup and different things.
Is that what it is? Yes.
But I think that's maybe the way that they're presented, but deep down, they're really lovely girls.
Oh,
And
you're
they're
saying the
really-
right things.
They really are lovely girls. They're warm, they're kind, they're friendly.
Yes.
And yes, maybe they do wear a little bit of makeup, but that's fine. It's fine for girls. Girls like, wearing makeup and different things. But, at the end of the day, it's what's inside that matters.
Well, it
and they
is.
are really kind people.
Yes. Well, we've got Sussex and Essex. And what do you think of the Suffolk girls?
I think they're lovely. I really do. I love Felix. Does that mean I'm a Felixstonian?
Oh, I think you must be a Felixstonian. That's a good name. We'll have to note that. But tell me, you're planning to do some book signings, and you're going to start a new idea which hasn't been done anywhere else in the country. Not only book signings, I understand, I hope I'm putting this over in the right way, but signing cards and best wishes cards and things like that, because a lot of people are loath to go in to have a book signed because either they haven't got a copy or they don't want to buy one. But signing a card as well, so that's something which people of Felixstowe will be looking forward to, having your book signing and your card signings. So that's a jolly good thing that's on its way.
Well, and it's a lovely way to meet people as well. I love book signings. You get into conversation, if people know your works, you're getting to speak to readers.
Yes.
And also, I love people, and you get to speak to characters.
Well, this is it.
It's just a lovely day.
Now, talking of characters, of course, you got a lot of experience with the police because you were involved with the police for a period. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, I was a witness care officer. I worked for the Crown Prosecution Service,
Yes.
but in a police station in Barking and Dagenham.
Yes,
So I've seen, and I've also dealt with witnesses as well.
Yes.
So I've seen sort of the whole
so you've got
gamut
it,
of
and you've used some of that in your books,
Very
presumably.
much so. The Singing Detective is based very loosely on a particular officer I met.
Yes,
Because it's very difficult to get an unusual character
yes.
as your lead detective. Every detective's been covered now, hasn't it?
Right.
Every neurosis, every type. And then in walks this detective.
And he's a Sikh as well,
He's a
isn't he?
Sikh. He's,
Yeah.
as they say, he's a Sikh by birth, but an East Ender by choice.
Oh, I see.
Very East End.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I must say that I've had the pleasure of meeting him, and he's a real character.
He is, isn't
So,
he?
but
Yeah.
I'm going to leave you and Beth to talk in a moment about one or two of your books. And Beth, tell me a bit about your reading experiences, because you've done a lot of reading, and you're an enthusiastic writer, I think, and you've got a lot of sports activities and things you like doing. Tell us a bit about yourself, and then I'm going to ask you to interview Maureen about her books.
I've always loved playing tennis from a young age. I play with my twin sister at the local Felixstowe Tennis Club. I've had coaching and training, and I've really enjoyed being involved with tennis matches and tournaments around Suffolk and even in Framlingham. We often do the Summer Framlingham Tennis Tournament, which I really enjoy. It's a very friendly experience, and I really do enjoy it. Also, I do hockey at the local hockey tennis club, and I've really enjoyed that as well, especially taking part every Saturday in the hockey matches. So that really is a good experience, because it's all about, I think for me, it's all about camaraderie and working within a team and togetherness. So it really is, you do bond as a team, and it's a really good experience.
That's very good. And which school did you go to?
I went to Woodbridge School, which really did set me up, I think, for life. I learned lots of different things, and it really was a great experience.
Yeah.
It makes you become very independent as a person, and I think that's really important. I had some wonderful teachers there. I've learned a lot from them,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping to progress into the next stage of my life, learning even more.
Well, you're certainly a very good advert for them, and because Woodbridge School's got a wonderful reputation and is very much looked up to. So you've done them proud, if I may say so. Now, I see you're clutching a book there, and I've been talking to you for a quarter of an hour now. So what book have you got there? Just hold it up to this camera here. There we are, that's it. Now, this is Silent Night by MC Dutton, and I'm going to leave you now to interview Maureen about it and talk to her for a few minutes, and I'll come back to you in a minute.
I really enjoyed reading Silent Night. It's a very eye-opening book, and I really did enjoy reading and discovering about all of the characters in your book. I think Christopher is he's a very special individual. He has for him, he always thinks life's easy. But I think throughout the progression of the story, we learn a lot about him and really the kind of mess that he got into, the deadly mess. I think you actually pointed at the beginning of it. What do you think of Christopher and his role in the play? Do you think that his role, he got what he was coming for, or do you think it was his fault, or do you empathise with him or sympathise? What's your view of Christopher?
I think he went on the wrong road of life, and once you're on that road, he just stuck with it. And he thought he was doing great, but it just shows you money isn't everything, and his whole life was based on money. He missed out on all the important parts of love, of caring, of friendship. He ignored, to a certain extent, Neil towards the end, because he was on his route. And I think it just proves that you need people.
Do you also feel that other characters in the book, such as Alice, who was portrayed as the dutiful wife, and she always done what she was told, always waiting for Christopher on hand and foot? Do you feel sorry for Alice because she was almost trodden on by Christopher? He had his own way. He was quite a boisterous character, and that she was passive in some way. She just had to listen and carry on. And although yes, she did do some charity events, it was tough for her. What do you think about Alice?
Oh no, Alice is strong. Alice in the background did everything. She built her life. She built standing in the community. She brought her children up. I think she was very strong, and I think at the end of the book you can see just what she's achieved. So I think you're reading Christopher's version of Alice.
Yeah.
He had no respect for her, really. But if you look at Alice, she did well. I'm proud of Alice.
I think also some other key characters in the book would be Amanda. Amanda, she is an interesting character. She's invited in as this kind of tempestuous woman who tempts Christopher and plays at his weaknesses, and she's quite devious but strong. She's a strong character. What do you think about Amanda?
Amanda's a businesswoman. She runs a brothel. She runs it well. She's a very successful brothel. She's done very well for herself. She's brought in drugs as well, and she's getting Christopher to ferry them for her. She's doing nicely. She is a strong woman. And I think you're reading from Christopher's perspective. He doesn't give her enough credence for who she is.
I would definitely agree with what you're saying. I think that's very important. But this is what I think in the book stands out to me the most. With no family ties and no children, Amanda had a plan to sail the seas and enjoy her life to the full. Her lovers would now be her choice, and she would enjoy selecting them. I think, for me, this is quite an eye-opening for the reader, because it's suggesting that she is selfish, a little bit self-centred, and it's all about Amanda. She didn't really love Christopher. It was all for her business. It was all to make money. And I think that's what's really important to take from this. Yes, she's a strong woman, and I agree, definitely agree with what you're saying. But all these numbers that are written here, the 6 million together with her other assets, very safe and secure. She arrived in Kasiaka late Friday.
Yeah.
Kasiaka. All her ties have been cut with England. Her money is safe. It's this idea of safety that is so important for her. She wants to kind of run away with the money and feel, and just, it's all about her. And I think she has a discreet and classy background. I think that's fair to say. She did have a discreet and classy background. Her father, but she broke away from all that. In some ways shamed her father by turning into this devious woman.
Very successful madam.
Successful madam. That is exactly what I would say, a very, very successful madam. But I think there's a lot we can learn from all of these characters in this book. I think for me, this book is a cautionary tale. It's a warning that if you go beyond your boundaries, if you push money and greed too far, you will pay your penitence. I think this is for me, this is a cautionary tale. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think the winners of this is Neil. Lovely Neil. I adore him.
Neil.
Quietly in the background, the success of the day. But he's on a very interesting journey. He meets some very interesting people along the way. He might be on a downhill course, but that was a very interesting downhill course he was on. He met some very highfalutin people, didn't he, on his journey? And he had a very nice lifestyle. It just crashed.
Sometimes I've wondered about Neil's relationship with women. It was mentioned briefly at the beginning of the book of Neil's relationship with female characters. And he does have connections with female characters, but his love life. What was your vision of Neil and his love life? Did he have one, or was he just an individual who liked spending time with himself?
It was in the book. It was a hint in the book that he was gay.
Yes.
And the hint was there. But he conducted his life just celibate. He was celibate. He didn't go down any route. So, bit of a lonely life for him, I think.
He's a very clever individual, though. Neil is the kind-hearted, spirited, young, fresh individual that everyone wants to be friends with. Okay, at the beginning he did get deluded. He was in the limousine, and his friends at the time they weren't really good friends. But throughout his life, he really made something of himself. He thought, I'm here, I'm going to make something of myself, I'm going to sell his China business he started at the beginning. And he really did excel, I think, as a character. And I think that's quite important to take from the book.
Well, he had a very successful father who was jet-setting everywhere. His grandfather, Bertram, a good Norfolk man, very proud to be a Norfolk man, was also a very ruthless businessman in his time. So Neil comes from a good background.
What do you think of Jennifer? Jennifer is, for me, this woman who steals Christopher's heart a little bit. He falls, towards the end of the novel, in love with her. Irrevocably, unconditionally in love with her. He loves her. He wants to be with Jennifer. He wants to be in America. He really loves being with Jennifer. But she has a little bit of an agenda.
Jennifer is a bit flighty, I think. She's good stock. She knows all the senators. Of course, Christopher loves her. The whole trappings of her life is stars and senators. He meets all the rich and famous people in America through her. I think that's partly why he loves her. Christopher's after money and power and fame.
And even though he has this temporary fame, it comes at a high cost, I think. It really does come at a high cost because at the end of the novel, what does he achieve? I mean, he has a suicidal thought. One of the last quotations is, he'd been saving his tablets up, and one day soon he would take them all together with a few glasses of the finest malt whisky he could buy. He would lay down to sleep and never again wake up in a cold sweat and terrified.
Well, without giving away the ending, there's a reason for that, isn't there? But I mean, that can't be disclosed. And
Yeah.
very difficult things happen towards the end of the book that hopefully nobody's ever going to... You didn't guess it, did you?
No, I didn't. It was for me, it was a very ambiguous ending. It was very open-ended. I was like, oh, wow. It was good for me. It was a cliffhanger. And I think cliffhangers are so important. And also the fact that you have triggers throughout your entire book, which for me is clever, because you're always feeding the reader what's going to happen next, who's going to talk next, where are we going in the story. The binary opposition between America and England was very, very clever. The both contrary landscapes, I think you've really depicted very well, were very impressive.
Thank you.
I also think that another character that kind of does grab my attention a bit, who isn't always, she's a very special character, is Pamela.
Yeah.
Pamela. I don't even know where she is. She's always been fond of Christopher, I think it's fair to say.
Oh, she loves him.
Yeah.
Adores
she
him.
does. She loves Christopher. She's always there. She's there to wait on him. Oh, Christopher, can I do this for you? She feels that she has this secret little relationship with him that maybe a bit envious of Alice, I think. What do you think of Pamela as a whole, as an entity?
She's an unrequited love. She has a husband that takes no notice of her. She works for Christopher and just sees him as and he is. He's very glamorous. He's gorgeous. He's rich. He's successful. He has an air about him, and she adores him.
Well, I think that's the note to finish this, because I think you've done wonderfully. Now, I haven't read Silent Night, and of course I'm going to now, because you've whetted my appetite. About a brothel, about a man who's got a mistress, a wife. It sounds most...
He's very busy.
And Sally as well. We forgot about Sally.
Now, if you've enjoyed hearing all about Silent Night by M.C. Dutton, you can get it on Amazon. You just go onto Amazon and you can buy it and have it, or I'm sure the local library will let you have a copy. But do read it. I'm going to read it. That's whetted my appetite. And of course, what I've enjoyed more than anything is, of course, seeing Maureen, the actual author of it, and seeing her response to it. But more than anything else, I'm very impressed with Beth, who this is her first attempt at presenting for television and interviewing. And I think she deserves a congratulation for that. Well done, Beth, because I think we're going to see a lot of you, and we're going to have a regular program, and hopefully we'll perhaps have something together, and both on the radio and television. and we look forward to 2 new stars from Felixstowe. So, well, thank you very much for looking, and we've appreciated your support and your help. We say a big thank you to the Suffolk Coastal Council, because they're a marvellous council. They've done such a lot. They've helped the radio a great deal, and they've helped the television. So we're great supporters of the council, and I'd like to say goodbye, thank you, and thank you for looking. Bye.
Request number 4. Good morning everyone, and welcome to Felixstowe TV on this lovely bright morning here in Felixstowe, and this is the live section.